Welcome back to my channel, Next in Food. I am your diva chef, Simone Walker-Barrett. And today I want to share with you, the do's and the don'ts of making fry dumplings. So this tutorial is about how to make the perfect Jamaican fry dumpling, in my opinion. Fry dumpling is loved by every Jamaican. It's something that we have for breakfast mostly, and you can have it with whatever protein you like. So let's make some fry dumpling. For fry dumpling, flour. You have to start with the flour. For me, I find that in Jamaica we have a flour that is called counter flour. I find that the counter flour and the all-purpose flour makes the dumpling, taste the way I want the finished product to taste. So today I'm using counter flour, but if you are watching from somewhere else and you don't have that particular flour, all-purpose flour is just fine. So what do you need when you're making dumpling? Now fry dumpling, in my opinion, there are two categories of fry dumpling here in Jamaica. One that is perfectly round and doughy inside. I don't like that one. I don't like when it's doughy inside. I prefer when the dumpling is almost hollow inside and airy. So that is the one I'm going to show you. Now the difference between the two, in my opinion, is the makeup process of it. So for fry dumpling, you need flour. I'm using counter flour. You are going to need some baking powder as a leavener. Remember, a leavener is called chemical leavener because it helps to make the finished product feel soft, taste soft. Okay, you need some salt because salt brings the flavors together. You also need some richness, and the richness comes in two forms. It comes in the form of milk, and I'm using dried milk because this is my recipe and this never failed me yet. I find that the liquid milk kind of make the dumpling a little bit too rich, so I prefer to use the dried milk because I can manage how much I put in it. So I'm using dried milk powder, and that you can find almost in every supermarket. If you don't have any dry milk powder, a coffee creamer is great because it is a form of milk powder. You need some sweetness. This helps to give the finished dumplings some color, that nice golden brown color that we all love. So I'm adding granulated sugar. I prefer to use granulated sugar in this versus brown sugar. And then finally, our second enrichment ingredients in the form of butter or margarine. I love to bake with butter because butter has so much more flavor. However, if you're a vegan and you don't eat butter, margarine is just fine. And I'm adding in, I like when the margarine is at room temperature or the butter at room temperature. So you have everything into the bowl. Now you want to get your hands in here and mix. So you're going to mix everything until it's nice and combined. The recipe will be posted in the description below. I want you to try this recipe, post it, and tag us on Instagram at Next in Food. Tell me what you think. Comment below and tell me what you think. Now, one of the mistakes that people make when they're making dumpling, they don't think about the function of all the ingredients that we just added in. And sometimes they do, but they don't allow the dough to rest. Resting the dough is very important. Now I'm adding water. When you're making dumpling, depending on the flour, the water is not always the same. So I suggest you add the water in a little bit at a time. Just use your fingers and mix it around. And you're using now your sense of touch. You're feeling it to make sure it is not dry or it is not too soft. If it is too soft, don't worry. You can always just add a little bit more water if it is too dry. But when it is too soft, you can add a little bit more flour. Now you see how easy that came together. So I add 3/4 cup of water measured out, and I only use a little bit over 1/4 of it. So at this stage, I like to get all the flour mixed in. and give it a knead. Just knead it to combine all of the ingredients, and then leave it alone. Get a damp tea towel, and you're going to cover the dough and let this dough rest for a minimum of 10 minutes. You can rest it for much longer, but a minimum, meaning at the least amount of time you need to rest it for, is 10 minutes. I'm going to rest this for 10 minutes, and I'm going to come back and show you what it looks like, and show you also how to make up the fried dumpling. That is also very, very important. So soon come. It has been 10 minutes since our dumpling dough has been resting. This is what it looks like. So at this point, I want to just sprinkle a little bit of flour and just give it a couple more knead. This kneading is to get it smooth. Look at that. Okay, you can see the difference in the dough after it rests. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to divide the dough into the amount of dumplings that I intend to make. And I'm just doing this by feel. Usually it's about an ounce of dough per dumpling. So I use 8 ounces of flour. With the other stuff should give me about 9 to 10 dumplings. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. Now let's just look at how you make the dough into dumplings. This is my method. I like to use my fingers and then round it into a ball. So my fingers squeeze it, and this is a form of kneading. Again, I use my 3 fingers here along with the palm of my hand. So I use my left hand, because I'm right-handed, as a guide to just hold the dumplings, and then I round it into a circle. Now you could fry them just like this. If you fry them this way, I find that it gives you a doughiness inside, which some people like. I don't like that. So what I do after I round them, I let them rest for 10 more minutes before I fry them. And just before I fry them, I'm going to use the palm of my hand to just flatten the dough balls, and that way in the cooking process the dumplings will rise, and it's going to give me that hollow inside that I prefer with my fried dumpling. So again, it depends on preference. This dumpling dough, whether you want your dough to be doughy inside and perfectly round, we had all the right ingredients to the recipe, so it's going to be delicious, moist, anyhow. But I'm just sharing with you how I prefer, my family and I, how we prefer to eat our fried dumplings. So you must make up everything before you go to the oil. So again, you make it up into a ball, and this is how I use the palm of my hand and I flatten my dumpling. Now in the cooking process, this is going to rise about 1 inch, and that's going to allow me to have a nice hollow inside, not too doughy inside. So come with me to the fryer and I'll show you what the frying process is going to be. But first, we're going to let this rest for 10 more minutes before we fry. So the resting twice really helps the finished product of the dumpling. Soon come back. Our made up dumplings have been resting for 10 minutes. I went ahead and I preheat the oil. I have 2 cups of oil, and I like to fry dumpling in a frying pan. Now don't worry about the oil. You can cool this oil down, pour it out, put it into a jar, put it into your fridge door, and whenever you're ready to fry dumplings again, it will be ready. You can use it. Don't throw it away, just strain it. After it is cooled, put it in a jar. So you put the dumplings into the oil. You want to fry on a medium heat because you want the dumplings to cook through. Again, I'm going to show you how I prefer to do it. So I round it into a ball. Then I'm going to use the palm of my hand to flatten the dumpling. So if you look at the dumplings, they're about 1/2 inch thick. and that's just how I like them. Some people round them into a ball and then they have to try and deep fat fry them. I don't like it that way. I find it very doughy inside, as I said before. So you can use 2 fingers and flatten them down like this. And so your guide is to make sure that the width of the dumpling is just 1/2 inch thick. So in the oil it goes. And what I love about this recipe, it's perfect for a family of 4 or a family of 2. If you want more, feel free to double the recipe. You see that? Everything is frying nicely. And you want to have your container ready. So I like to just line the bowl that I made the dough in with a piece of absorbent paper, and this is what I'm going to put the dumplings in after they're fried. See how the dumplings get nice and brown? You just flip them over. The thing about fried dumplings, they can't be really deep fried because they're so light and airy. They will always float to the surface, so don't worry about the oil. I just recommend, if you're making dumplings for your family, depending on the size of the pot, so this is a 10-inch pot and I'm using 2 cups of oil. If your pot is smaller, you can use 1 cup of oil. And so we talk about the dumpling. I flatten the dumplings out to a thickness of 1/2 inch, and look at what happens. The leavener in the dumpling causes it to rise back up to a circle. So that is my tip right there for you. So there's no need to just round them into a ball and put them in the oil. I find that it takes too long to fry that way. After you round them into a ball, you need to flatten them out into a 1/2 inch or even less if you want them bigger, and they will always puff back up. Now these are my signature look on my dumpling. According to my family, they always have this little crack. In the bake shop, anything that is a quick bread usually have the signature crack. And because you put all of that goodness in it, the leavener, the sugar, the richness from the butter and the milk, this is like a little fried cake. And that's why some people call it Johnny cake. But here in my household, and most people in Jamaica, we just say fried dumpling. And this is something that we all love. We love it, and it's something that you want to heat hot. I love it with a lot of different things, like braised beef kidney is good with this. In my household, we prefer to eat it though with callaloo and saltfish, or just saltfish with lots and lots of tomatoes. So I like to keep turning them after they start getting brown. Now let us do the test. How do you know when it is ready? Again, my little philosophy is that when you're cooking, you cook with your 5 senses. Because remember, cooking is an act of love. So your sense of touch. So you push your fork in, and if you don't feel any resistance, it is telling you that the dough is ready. Now, if you don't trust your sense of touch, you can always just take one out, cool it down, and taste it, because, you know, we're more connected with our sense of taste. Some people, when they're cooking, they tend to be a little bit unsure and they don't know what to do, but you're looking at the product. It was once white, and you wait until it gets golden brown, and you can feel it with the fork. Like, I know this one is not ready, so I'm gonna let this one hang out some more, but this one is ready. So I'm going to put it into my container. And when you're cooking, you want to have everything that you're going to need close, so that way you don't need to be running around. I'm going to turn these over a little bit, like 2 more times, and let it, all of these is going to stay in for another minute, because we freeform these, they weren't weighed. So some, like these, are the smaller of the rest. So of course, naturally, they're going to be cooked first. And that's what I love about cooking. It's perfectly imperfect. Once you cook with your five senses, once you do it from a place of love, it always turn out good. And of course, now you have my recipe. So please to subscribe to my channel Next in Food for this moist, airy, soft fry dumpling. Also follow me on Instagram at Next in Food. Make this fry dumpling, tell a friend about this fry dumpling, ask them to subscribe to my channel Next in Food for fry dumpling and more. You never know what recipe I am going to be posting next. I am your diva chef, Simone Walker-Barrett. Thank you so much for subscribing, and if you have not subscribed yet, please do so. I'll see you next time with more delicious, simple recipes that I make for my family. And you know what? If you want me to make a particular recipe, let me know in the comment box and I will try and do it for you. Take care.